and I'm Scott Stulen from the Walker Arts Center, and I've kind of unintentionally become the cat video guy. So, depending on how you feel about cat videos, and I was thinking about for this presentation, either I can show a bunch of cat videos or I could talk really seriously about this, but I'm going to do both. So I'm going to try to marry those together. And if you don't like cat videos, it's only 15 minutes. That'll be relatively quick. All right, so as some of you maybe know, this started as something relatively small idea. And it was just to bring a few people together. We're going to watch some YouTube videos to close out the summer, maybe have a couple of beers. And 10,000 people showed up. So the first Internet Cat Video Festival at the Walker came out of a program called Open Field. So this program really takes a literal open field that's adjacent to the Walker, and we use it as this kind of collaborative experimental space. And within that space, we wanted to do something that would be kind of fun and playful to close out the summer, and that's where the Cat Video Festival kind of emerged. And it really, I think, kind of blew our minds about how it was received. And so I wrote a blog to kind of announce it, that we were doing this thing, and put out a call for nominations. And it went viral in about 2 hours. People love cat videos. So we put out the announcement. I really thought we might have just a couple dozen people, and within 2 hours, Gawker had picked it up, and the whole story went viral. And it was partly, I think, the alignment, of course, with the Walker Arts Center in doing something like cat videos, this kind of perceived high-low culture arrangement. But I think the real question was, are people really going to come out to this event, and other than it just being a novelty? And obviously they did, and much more so than we even thought they would. And the other thing is that it brought out people, and there was real cats there too. And we had other things around the event, so really this kind of cultural wrapper. We had music, we had different animal rights nonprofits there. We had all these other activities around this kind of headline of the Cat Video Festival, and we even gave out an award. So we had our first golden kitty for our best in show. That actually, this is Little Bub, and then the actual filmmaker, Will Braden, who actually is a real legit filmmaker. The Henri video was one of his class projects in graduate school that blew up, and now it's how he's able to do other films is from that video. So he is one of those people making money off of a YouTube video. In Will's case, he's Henri, the kind of tormented existential cat is Will's creation. So this thing that really could have been a failure on a certain level became a huge success. And we weren't blindly going into this. I was very well aware that cats are very popular on the internet, and we're tapping into something. But I think the real kind of the desire behind this program is what happens when you take that experience of what happens on your phone or on a computer offline and into this whole different context. And that's really what this was about. So after the festival and the media and all the kind of unexpected success of it, I've been flooded with requests to tour this other sites. So over the last year, I've been to 12 other cities with this, including the Great Wall in Oakland, where we had a 100-foot screen that we projected them on, and had 6,000 people come out to this event. And then other copycat events, like the Friskies, and Fresh Step has Cat Dance. And so yes, so after all of this that has come out, we had to do it again.
La question était, sont des dire ça? On cherchait une nouvelle l'année première. Putain, on est rare de donner des prix de ces entre eux. Oh non. Ils font une entrée, je sais pas.
So this is the tease for the second one, which occurred obviously about 2.5 weeks ago. So, and here's a little bit of a roundup of what happened.
Cats are awesome, cats are cool, cats are awesome, cats are cool.
We love cats.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of cats.
What's cat day?
I'm one of the co-creators, and I am the sole producer of the event. So
I basically ruined everything why this is happening, I guess. And we thought last year it'd be kind of fun to do a cat video festival. And we seriously thought it'd be like a laptop and maybe 50 people and a case of beer and it'd be like fun. But what happened was we had 10,000 people show up for it, like well beyond our wildest expectations. And since then it's been a little bit of a whirlwind.
The party never ends. Cats are
It's a lot of work. I think what people don't realize, they're like, oh, your cat got famous, you got a freebie. But you know, I seriously probably have never worked harder in my life than I do now. Bub and I are from Bloomington, Indiana. I'm a recording engineer. Bub is a remarkable cat. She's a movie star now, a published author, a talk show host. All these things that she can do, you know, and she does with grace. I mean, this has definitely consumed more time than I ever planned on doing, and I can tell you for the walk, it's been more time than they ever planned on consuming, but it's been something, I think it's had a lot of good returns for all of us.
I think it's just a really great way to engage people in art in new ways, and it's a genius idea by the Walker.
You can appreciate this in a non-ironic way and you can like it and it's okay. There's an element of it that's just serendipitous and sort of having the right video in the right time when things kind of take off. The first on Read video I made in 2006 when I was in film school, and I was 6 years until the next one. I think there is something that people do identify with about the character that has some staying power.
I can't get my cat. I can't get my cat to go viral. I tried.
I did go to the one last year. I actually went with this cat. She was still with us and she rode on my shoulder. So after she passed, I decided that she's going to be there forever.
Part of the magic of Bub is that she's a trooper and that she's a happy cat and she is actually very smart. Turns out she has a rare bone condition called osteopetrosis, which is different than porosis. It's kind of like the opposite. Her bones get thicker. She's from space. She's a space kitty, and that she crashed here on Earth to save us from ourselves. The backstory was created as a joke.
I spent $10,000 on my cat's birthday.
I thought it'd just be really fun to, and a good common denominator to get people to record themselves, or get recordings of people imitating cats. Participants get to sort of see themselves, and people were really excited.
We give back to the animal community like from the very beginning. Before she was even famous, we kind of had shirts, also kind of as a fun joke. My friend designed shirts. Like, it'd be fun to make a Bub shirt. So we've been donating a pretty large portion of our proceeds. We do meet and greets where people can come and meet Bub, and we do them at shelters to try and, give some exposure to adopted pets. And I mean, that's where she's a rescue cat.
I think that there's just no shortage of people here who are willing to donate. It's good business and it's just good in general to give back.
I love him, but I'm broke. I love him.
It's in categories, it's comedy, drama, foreign film, documentary. We're also doing it in a way that's unexpected from an art institution. We're not being critical, we're not being ironic. We're not layering it in all those kind of hipster irony that it could be.
I was actually here last year at the Walker, so I really wanted to come again, and I brought her because we both have cats and we like cats and cat videos.
$1,000 on my cat's birthday.
So there's just a little sample. I think it helps us see it in context and seeing the scale. It was very different, kind of moving it to the State Fair just because of kind of the distance with that large stage with the crowd, and I think there's some pluses and minuses to all of that. But I think the real thing for us that was interesting in kind of extending this experiment is that the first one was a free event that we did at the Walker. This one actually, with all the fees total, it was $20 a person to come to it, and we had 11,000 people show up to watch YouTube videos. And I think that raises a whole bunch of questions about why and what's going on here, and also even some things about the economy around internet videos of this type. This also brought out a lot of the kind of people in costume, and it became this kind of gathering of not only like fans within this, but I think I called like this cat culture meeting the internet culture. So it's become this really interesting phenomenon. And I think overall it's just how people kind of respond to it and have come to it time and time again to kind of enjoy this experience. We did give out another award. Grumpy Cat won this year and was still grumpy. But I think some of the questions that really come up, in particular in the context of here, is how do we do this, and what does all this mean? This is my jury slide. So how the process works is I put out a call, and we just put out a Google form for people to nominate videos. You don't necessarily need to be the creator of the video, but just to nominate whatever you'd like to see in next year's festival. And then I get that huge chunk of about 10,000 submissions, and I have a jury that's kind of curators, both film curators, art curators, and also people in the media spread around the country and even internationally that kind of help sort through that. And then I go through the final 300-400 of them and sequence them into the reel. And so the reel includes about 70 to 80 videos. They've all been edited, and they've all been kind of carefully sequenced into categories. Yes, I'm aware. And then from that reel, I have to go through, and really the time-consuming part is negotiating the rights for each and every one of those videos. So I negotiate individually with the creator to kind of secure rights for this context. And part of with that is that when I'm going through and getting those rights, it's just for showing the videos in the live context of the event. So we don't produce DVDs, we do not put the actual reel online. What is online is a playlist, like the YouTube playlist of the clips that are included, but the actual produced reel that you see at the events never shows up online. I kind of carefully protect that so that there isn't any revenue that's being generated from distributing that content. Now, the question comes up a lot too, is like, how are some of these creators making income from this? And I think that's been one of the interesting things that's come out of the festival. What I'm kind of doing is collecting all these videos together, creating context and creating some value by putting them all together into one package that we can show at these live events. And for example, some of the bigger videos, Henri, who Will's been shown a couple times here, since the festival, he has made about $25,000 off of the YouTube ad revenue from the clips. Got a book deal with Random House, got a deal with Friskies to actually produce stuff. He has total creative control, but it's allowed him to do other things that he wants to do that are more kind of his art production. So there are ways that people are benefiting from this. Now, obviously not everybody, and that's a theme I know, and I was just listening to that being discussed. But I think there are some interesting things on how the economy is working within this as well. It's also spawned a tour. So my inbox gets hit about every day with a couple more tour requests, and up to date about 300 of those. Last year we did 12 different dates, including Oakland, Memphis, and it was also included in the Vienna Shorts Film Festival in Vienna, Austria. It was in the Jerusalem Film Festival. And moving into this year, which is very fresh from the new reel, I've got 25 dates booked already. We'll be here in Brooklyn at the Warsaw on the 25th of October. And I'm actually on the back end of the initial part of the tour. We were in Hawaii last Saturday, a week from this Saturday. We're in San Francisco that day, and I was at that festival. And then I just came back last night from Ireland, where we were screening it in the Culture Tech Festival in Londonderry. So it was screened on the side of a castle wall in Ireland. And today it's going through Northern Ireland on a truck, and they're doing pop-up screenings in small little towns around the city. These different kind of contexts of it, I'm really interested where it kind of retains some of this art background to it. And then the other kind of interesting offshoot of this is that nearly in every place where it's been screened, it's been in partnership with some other cultural nonprofit, and then also with a Humane Society or other animal welfare nonprofit. And through that, we've actually been able to raise about $50,000 for those organizations through the festival. There has been, internally, anytime you're dealing with something like this, there can be some conflict with the institution. This is the fine line I walk sometimes. And also with the artist community of having like the walker doing something like this that isn't perceived as being like fine art, or in the sense of what people expect the walker to be. So a lot of my work has been over the last year is kind of putting this into context, speaking at different places like this, and also nearly every place that this is screened, I do some sort of speaking engagement or other public program where I'm kind of framing it into the context of contemporary art. And so with that, it's kind of the questions that come up like, is this art? And I think that question is kind of boring and kind of dumb. But, and I think the answer to the question, I would say sometimes, some of it maybe is, most of it probably isn't, but I don't think that's really the question. It's more like, why is this worked? Why have people really responded to this? And I think part of it is, people love cats, people love the internet, very obvious thing. But I think there's a little bit more, to that. And I think it's partly is that these are all videos that exist on YouTube. They're already out there. But why do people come to this event to watch them? And I think a part of that is, and a little bit of my mantra has been, is that it's not about cats. It's not about cat videos. It's about watching cat videos together. And it's that together part. And I think that's really the key. And I think the other thing is that, and this is a quote I've gone to time and time again from the first festival, really talking about is I think we've lost a certain thing of this connection, or things that we can't enjoy something that's just fun for an hour. And that's partly what people have really responded to this. We're not doing it as the Walker Arts Center being critical or being overly, I'm not up here saying that these are super important. It's really not about that. It's more of kind of a social experiment of how we're taking these things offline and creating this experience. But doing it in a really genuine way is partly why this works. If I was doing it kind of very ironically and being kind of very hipster, like I said in there, this wouldn't work. And it's partly that we're doing it in this way, and people have definitely responded to that. And there's something about watching any content, but particularly this type of content with other people. This is something you're used to watching on your phone or watching on your laptop. It's very different watching a video with 10,000 other people. And part of the experiment, and I think this really relates a lot to kind of any type of film, is that there's something different about being in a theater and watching something. There's something about also watching things that you've all seen before. And I think it's partly why people come out and want to see Star Wars again and again and again in an audience with other people. There's something to this. And the first festival really thought that people wanted us to find new, kind of discovering new content. That's somewhat true. But a lot is they wanted to see the hits. It's kind of like the classic rock band. You don't want to see the new album. You hear the new album, you want to hear like the hits. There's people want to watch Keyboard Cat with 10,000 other people. And that's partly why they come out, is to see that. So with that in mind, and to close, let's watch a cat in a shark costume riding a Roomba, chasing a duck, together. Thank you.